Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on the channel. We are back again with the tips this week and we're going to be heading into round 19. So first of all, I'll go through my round 18 tips. It was not a good round for tipping for me. I went with a number of upsets and none of them paid off. Fremantle, I honestly thought they'd get the job done against Hawthorn and Tassie. Not to be. The Bulldogs upset Carlton, didn't tip that one. Tipped St Kilda. I don't know why I did. I should have changed it when Marcus Windhager went out, because I said that I thought that he might go to Jordan Dawson and tag him out of the game. He ended up missing the game through injury, so I should have changed my tip when Windhager went out. Didn't tip Essendon. Did not tip Port Adelaide. The Gold Coast. And then the last two games I got correct, so only 4 out of 9 for the round. It was a pretty bad round. Hopefully I can correct myself and do better in round 19. Alright, so we're going to have to get through this pretty quick this week. Starting things off with Essendon versus Adelaide on a Friday night at Marvel Stadium. I think there's too much on the line for Essendon to drop this one. They've been a bit inconsistent. They've been pretty good though against the bottom teams so far this year. They stumbled a number of times against the top teams, but against the bottom 5 team, they should be able to get the job done, I feel. And so I'll tip them, even though the Crows are looking a bit better, I'll tip them by 19 points. Gold Coast, GWS taking on Gold Coast. Well, I think it's pretty much set in stone now that you can tip Gold Coast away from home. You can tip Gold Coast at home pretty much every time, and tip against Gold Coast away from home every time. It's a ridiculous streak now. Like, I don't know how it's lasted this long. So the Giants are back into some good form. So I will tip them in this one. We'll go by 21 points. It'll probably be a contender for lowest crowd of the year, this one. Neither of these teams have been getting very good crowds this year. And playing off against each other. It's going to be a pretty dismal crowd for this one, I'd say. St Kilda versus West Coast. West Coast couldn't get the job done for their new caretaker coach last week. I think that the Saints, I know they do have a few injuries now. It's at home for them. I probably will tip them in this one. I think that, West Coast are probably... Well, they're clearly one of the worst sides in the competition. Arguably, on form, they are the worst side in the competition. Right now, haven't won their last, 6 or 7 games now. Been quite a few drubbings in between there as well. So, I think the Saints should get the job done here. I'll tip them by 29 points at home. One of the contenders for Game of the Round, Hawthorn versus Collingwood. Is this an early elimination final? Could well be. 12th versus 13th, and yet both of these sides have more wins than losses. That is quite remarkable at this stage of the year. Right now, Collingwood, after a few losses in a row, are hanging on to finals hopes, while Hawthorn continue their, I want to say charge up the ladder, but their ladder position hasn't changed for the last 5 weeks, even though they've been winning. It's such a strange season, this one. Collingwood have a number of injuries still. They're in some pretty poor form, while the Hawks, they just keep on rolling. They've won 9 of their last 11 or something like that, and they are playing some spectacular footy. I don't think I can go against them in this one. I think that the aura has gone from the Pies. The Hawks have been a bit of a bogey team for the Collingwood in recent years. Earlier this year, they only narrowly lost to them, and that was when Collingwood were looking a bit better. And then the last few years, they caused a few upsets against Collingwood. So I think they'll get the job done in this one. I think they've done a number on Collingwood in recent years, and they are in much better form than them right now. So I think that, Hawks get the job done here, and really consolidate themselves as finals contenders this season. Another contender for Game of the Round right here, Geelong taking on the Dogs. The Dogs are so inconsistent. Their best is so good, but their worst is terrible. I don't think you can go against Geelong at home in this one, though. Yeah, the Dogs are really unpredictable week to week. Show up one week looking like world beaters, and then the next week looking like a bottom 4 team. At home, I think the Cats should get the job done here, though. Alright, probably one of the easier tips of the round. Port Adelaide at home. They'll bounce back. Should beat the Tigers comfortably. I'll go by 39 points. Yeah, they just have to win this one to get back in the hunt for finals. And I think they should, because the Tigers, they've lost their last few by a considerable margin. So yeah, I can't really see Port Adelaide dropping this one. Yet another contender for game in the round, Brisbane versus Sydney at the Gabba. The Lions come into this matchup in 4th position. That is ridiculous. It wasn't that long ago that their season looked done and dusted. They've turned it around. They are arguably one of the most informed teams in the competition. The Swans, top of the ladder, pretty much the only team that has consolidated their spot on the ladder at this stage. The Swans. I'll tip my boys, not very confidently. I feel like we've had a decent head-to-head record with Brisbane recently. At the Gabba, I can't recall too many matchups. There was 2021 in round 1. We upset them. We weren't expected to be very good that year. It's the last time I can remember us playing the Gabba, playing Brisbane at the Gabba. Then, before that, it was probably 2018, 2019. But I don't think we can really take much out of those results back then. So it's not really much to go off the top of my head when it comes to head-to-head records at this venue. But I'll tip the Swans by 13 points because I've got to back my own team. Fremantle versus Melbourne. Melbourne will be looking to make amends for last time these two teams played. Obviously, Freo won by 92 points. I don't think they'll win by 92 points in this one, but I will tip them considering it is at home. Not completely sold on the D's yet, despite last week's win. They're back into some decent form at least, but I'll need to see a few more good performances before they head into finals. If they make finals, there's a possibility they don't make finals. Still a possibility that Fremantle don't make finals, but I think they probably should at this stage, especially if they win this one. So yeah, I'll tip Fremantle by 17 points. Carlton versus North Melbourne. This is looking like it's probably going to be a pretty similar matchup to what we saw with Sydney North Melbourne last round. Swans had lost 2 in a row, needed to get back on the winners list despite being top of the ladder. They needed to get some form back, and then they smashed the Roos. Carlton will probably do a similar thing here. They lost their last 2 after looking like real premiership contenders. I think they'll bounce back. You'd think that the Roos would want to respond, and so I won't go as big of a margin as what we saw in the Sydney North game, but I think Carlton should get the job done comfortably here against North Melbourne. And that brings us to the end of the round. So at the end of the round, my predicted ladder looks like Sydney still on top, Carlton 3 games behind them in second, Geelong and Fremantle back into the top 4, Essendon, GWS, Port Adelaide and Brisbane slide down to 8th, Melbourne outside the top 8 and Hawthorn jump up to 10th, the Bulldogs, Gold Coast and Collingwood, next bracket of teams, and then St Kilda I've got jumping up again, up over Adelaide again, although I don't think that they are really in contention for finals. And Adelaide in the bottom 4 and then the bottom 3 is pretty much the same as it's always been. So that will bring us to the end of this tipping video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Comment down your predictions in the comment section below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.